The best of the morning to you. This is Monday with Friday, inspiring you for a better week ahead. Across the world, many religious people shall regard this week as holy. Jews shall celebrate Passover, while Christians shall commemorate the crucifixion. By the time you hear me again next week, Christians shall have already celebrated the resurrection, known to many as Easter. Now, I'm watching a familiar phenomenon happening in America, the cradle of a certain kind of Christianity in the 20th and 21st centuries, and in Israel, the cradle of Judaism. In Israel, a man indicted for bribery, fraud, and breach of trust is prime minister due to the votes he and his party received in their last elections. True, it's a coalition government where no winner took all, but the fact remains that those who voted for Netanyahu knew of his indictment. In America, a man demonstrably corrupt, dishonest, and eternally suspected as a repeat offense white-collar criminal and sexual predator is being lionized by legislators and political leaders in both the federal government and state governments, and by religious people who call themselves good news people, evangelicals. Now, these two items, Israel and America, yield what I call the Barabbification of society. People reflecting on a week of events in Israel around 1992 years ago shall remember this Friday, not me, the day of the week, a man named Barabbas. He was a criminal, specifically an insurrectionist. For a fleeting moment, Barabbas was equated to another man, one named Jesus. In that moment, a throng of people and a legislator and governor named Pontius Pilate all looked upon a known and convicted insurrectionist named Barabbas in the same and equal way they viewed a non-violent justice agitator, humanitarian, compassionate social worker, and mental, physical, social, and spiritual liberator named Jesus. But that moment of false equivalence did not last long. It quickly gave way to a poor choice. The crowd voted to release Barabbas and to crucify Jesus. This is the kind of nonsense that happens when crimes are overlooked. Depravity is justified, and when, as Proverbs chapter 26 and verse 11 declares, and I paraphrase, a human dog returns to its own vomit. So, Israel elected Bibi Netanyahu, a man indicted for corruption, as their prime minister. What could go wrong? I know. That man, now wielding immense power, moves to stymie and castrate Israel's judicial system, enabling him to be the ultimate arbiter over his own legal liability. This is the very definition of corruption in which Bibi Netanyahu is accused of being seasoned before the elections. In America tomorrow, the likes of an intolerably foolish woman named Marjorie, whom other foolish people elected as a United States representative from Georgia, is among the loudest rabble-rousers calling for disorder under the guise of protest, pandering to a man named as the co-conspirator in a crime for which the other co-conspirator already went to prison. By any rules, logical or literal, but unfortunately not legal, for, you see, this is why the law is referred to as an ass. That man is a convict and a criminal. And by the way, dishonest liars like Bill Barr, who skewed the Mueller report to create a political hit job against the truth to save that Barabbas, his former president, who now shamelessly and infuriatingly calls the indictment of Donald Barabbas a political hit job, are part of the crowd contributing to the Barabbification of America. Now, I can fully understand why those Jews back then freed Barabbas instead of Jesus. It's the same reason Israel voted for Netanyahu and Bezalel Smotrich And the same reason white American evangelicals are foolishly enamored with Trump. In a single word, power. Today, people like Netanyahu and Smotrich don't intend to do any real justice for Palestinians whom they still consider enemies rather than siblings. And that's not to absolve Palestine from their violent responses to injustice. Almost 2,000 years ago, violence was a popular option for Israel to relieve herself of Roman dominance. It was what Barabbas and Judas, frankly, wanted. On Sunday, Jesus was thought to be that political and military hero. By Thursday night of that first week, 2,000 years ago nearly, the hero was downgraded to a zero when discovered to be thoroughly disinterested in political power and violence. By Friday morning of that week, Barabbas was the clear choice. You'll have to read books like White Too Long by Robert P. Jones and Jesus and John Wayne to understand why white American evangelicals love political power so much and do not give a damn about violence that emerges from the quest for that obscene power. And then you'll understand why Barabbas, Trump, is still the clear choice for white American so-called Christians even during a week called Holy, honoring a non-violent man who loved, welcomed, and included all people, not just those of his privileged race. Now, if you don't live in Israel or America and think you're safe, wake up. There may be a Barabbas among those people you elect to national office wherever you are, in the Caribbean, Asia, Africa, or Europe. You will know them by their love of power, wealth, and violence, and their utter disdain for justice, peace, and for people. I am Michael Friday, and your week just got better. I'll see you again next week. Happy Monday, all the way to Friday.